When are the Kohanim allowed to eat teruma? By Set HaKochavim. Now, what does that mean? And this is what the Mishnahs come to teach us, the kapara lo me'akva. The bringing of the korban the next day does not hold the Kohanim back from eating teruma. Meaning to say, here's the process to becoming tahor. You got to dip in the mikveh. You have to wait till nightfall. The next day you have to bring a korban. Right? Three stages, and each one has different halakhic ramifications, what the Kohen's allowed to do after he does that process. So you got to dip in the mikveh, wait till nightfall, bring a korban the next day. Now, from the fact that our Mishnah says that the time of Kriyat Shema is when the Kohanim are allowed to eat teruma, time of Kriyat Shema shel Arvit, when the Kohanim are allowed to eat teruma, obviously the Kohanim don't have to wait till the next day to bring the korban to eat teruma.
Right.
From the fact that you're saying, when's the time for Kriyat Shema of Arvit? Answer when the Kohanim are allowed to eat teruma. So it must be the Kohanim don't have to wait till the next morning when they bring their korban to eat teruma, because they have to wait till the next morning to bring their korban. That can be the time for Kriyat Shema of Arvit. We're talking about Kriyat Shema of the nighttime. So it must be they're allowed to eat the teruma already from the nighttime.
Didn't they used to prep before that though?
At the dip in the mikveh, wait till nighttime, bring a korban the next day.
So when could they eat the teruma?
You're saying
After,
our Mishnah said the time of Kriyat Shema is when the Kohanim could eat teruma.
which is,
It must be
you want to say a time.
right? But after sunrise, but it shows us that they don't have to wait till they bring the korban the next day to eat teruma.
Right, they can eat it before.
Must be they could eat it from the night, right? Because if they had to wait till the next separate chidush, yeah. Random chidush, we just want to throw it in there.
Should we follow an order like? Should we learn about yeah, it's fun for us to bring that as the example of what time wise. We only do that when you like learn that.
So Tavot says in Mishnah somewhere else, but we wanted, even though things we know already, we have an opportunity to do Hazara first. Mishnah Shas. Let's teach you how to do Hazara.
On all levels of Tumah, you can eat if you dip that day and you that night you can eat teruma on all levels, on the highest level to the lowest level.
I think it's that the night brings on the purification. That's the moment.
Right.
So meaning if your Tumah met 7 days of Tumah, on the 8th day, I think you dip. That night you can eat teruma. The next morning you eat the korban.
Correct. Right. So the Gemara in Yevamot explains that Pasuk one place says once you dip in the mikveh, you have a certain level of purity. And then another place says when you wait till nightfall, you have a certain level of purity. And then another pasuk says that the next day when you bring the korban, you have a certain level of purity. So the Gemara says that there's 3 levels. After you dip in the mikveh, you're allowed to eat maaser sheni, a good old maaser sheni from Makot. That's the lowest level of kedusha. During the day, full yom. At night, Set HaKochavim, you're allowed to eat even teruma, level 2. The next morning, after you bring the korban, you're allowed to eat kodshim. You're allowed to eat a korban. Kohen's allowed to eat a korban. So those are 3 levels: maaser sheni, teruma.
How do you reconcile it in this line?
So he was just asking like a technical question. The Mishnah said, "When do you say Kriyat Shema at night?" Question, answer. When
you could say so then they can eat teruma at Shlag Mincha.
Oh, he's saying according to Rabbeinu Tam that he says we hold like a Yehuda, they can say Kriyat Shema Plag Mincha. Kohanim are not allowed to eat teruma, but Plag Mincha they have to wait till Set HaKochavim. Right.
You can't say Shema.
So Tosafot says we're not posek like this Mishnah. We're going like Rabbi Yehuda over there who argues on this entire Mishnah.
But he's not going to argue on the teruma.
He's not going to argue on the teruma. He's going to agree with the teruma. That's Set HaKochavim. The time for Kriyat Shema, that's Plag Mincha. Rabbeinu Tam would say, yeah. Tosafot's coming out of left field. Yeah, we realize how big of a chidush Tosafot's doing to be mekayem the minhag. Pray early. Okay. So.
No patience.
I want to delve on this.
I'm the one giving the chidush.
We didn't
learn it like you did.
No, I'm saying it's
right. So the reason why we use the code language is to teach us a side chidush by saying that the time for Kriyat Shema of night is when the Kohanim eat teruma. I see the Kohanim are allowed to eat teruma at night. They don't have to wait till the next day. That's all. Side random chidush. Kedetanya, like we're going to have a braita that will bring out this point. It says in the pasuk, this is how the Braita understands the pasuk. Uba hashemesh v'taher. It says in the pasuk, the sun will come sun will come down, v'tahed, and the day will be completely pure of the sun. You hear this reading? Oba hashemesh v'tahed. The sun will come down, v'tahed, and the day will be completely pure of the sun, meaning seta kochavim. And then the pasuk continues and says, v'ahar yochal min hakodashim, and then you're allowed to eat teruma.
Why would
Read that reading?
like that?
How else? You hear the reading? Oba hashem. Then the sun comes down, v'tahed, and the day is completely pure from the sun. Clean.
Gone.
Gone.
Sun, see you later.
Then you're allowed to eat teruma. Remember that? Baraita. They Torat Kohanim Parashat Emor.
I don't know if it's purified. Just
Here.
the sky is pure of the sun. It's black now.
Oh.
Really?
Sin City.
Right. You're not pure over there. I'm pure. Yeah, right.
It's got to be like 4 a.m. there. No?
Dark.
Jet lag. I can't have missed this. Let's do it. Wait, but why are you eating that way? No, it's okay. Now the sunrise. Now you're pure. Why are you continuing the?
Beautiful. Okay, so Gemara is going to ask in the next line why we read. The way we're reading is the sun comes down and the day is completely pure from the sun, meaning it's seta kochavim, and then you're allowed to eat teruma. Mark's asking, why don't we read it? Uba hashemesh. The sun comes up the next day, and he has to purify himself, meaning maybe he can bring his korban. He has to purify himself, and then he can eat teruma. You think maybe it means the next Uba Hashem the next?
Sun kisha and bit ahead of the guy style.
Yeah, that's another question.
That was my question.
You want to say the sun came
Because
down,
the sun
and then
came
he can
down.
eat
Yeah.
Okay, let's go one step at a time.
Also the word uba.
No, I know. Wait, I was going by sunrise. I was going sunrise. Yes. Yeah, because he's saying that you have to wait till the next day to get the.
You're not actually going to ask these questions.
All that. The morning of the night, you're going to see that.
Yeah, much.
That means you don't really see it.
But he does it on purpose. He does it on purpose, right?
Well,
Yeah. Stop. Go.
1 second. So
Do your thing.
no. First, he is asking a great question. Again, the Gemara is saying the Prophet is saying the sun comes down and the day is fully clean from the sun. Then you're allowed to eat teruma, which is seta kochavi. Okay. Then haddad David asks his question. According to this way we're saying, and haddad David asks his question of why don't we just read the pasuk simply? Uba hashemesh, the sun comes down, meaning sunset maybe. V'tahed, and then he is pure, and then he's allowed to eat teruma. Maybe why are we saying that it means v'tahed, that is completely pure from the sun, meaning seta kochavim? Now, how David says because the guy's not tahor, he's not allowed to eat kodesh. He still has to wait till he brings his korban the next day to be pure, to have the halachic status of a pure person. That's for sure. Everyone agrees you have to wait till the next day to eat kodesh. So the simple reading of pasuk cannot mean uba hashemesh, the sun comes down, v'tahed, and he is pure. He's not pure. That's not true.
I meant sunrise.
Okay, sunrise is going to be the Gemara's question.
Uba Hashem, you're saying the next day, the morning.
Yeah,
sun
sunrise.
comes up.
And
And then he's completely pure.
Yeah.
He didn't give the korban yet.
Doesn't need to.
But then he's not fully pure.
What?
You're only able fully pure after you bring the korban the next day.
You could say, that's how once he brings the korban, then he's taher.
That's the next Gemara's question.
Yeah, okay, come on. You're jumping the gun here. No, the sun comes up, there.
There. There.
That's the Gemara's answer to this question. Okay, but let's get there.
Regular person, you don't
We're talking about a Kohen over here. Kohen.
Regular Kohen. So whatever a person does, like a Kohen does, isn't it? They have to wait till nightfall. They have to bring another korban after you say.
Yeah, the next day they have to bring a korban, mitzorah, zav. The next day they have to the chahor a little bit, and
I
then
thought that they go dip and then nightfall and like the tahor.
no, they still have korban the next day.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing. Okay, so let's just read. Let's go one step at a time. Again, Baraita says, "Uba hashemesh v'taher." The sun comes down and the day is completely purified, meaning seta kochavim, and then he's allowed to eat kodesh. Baraita says, "Bi'at shimshu ma'agvato melacho b'teruma." The sun coming down and the day being fully clean from the sun holds the person back from eating teruma, meaning you're not allowed to eat teruma until nightfall. However, bringing his korban the next day does not hold the person back from eating teruma. Meaning this is, like we were saying, is pshat in our Mishnah. Our Mishnah is saying the time for Kriyat Shema Shel Arbit is when the Kohanim are allowed to eat teruma, to teach us that by nightfall they're allowed to eat teruma. They don't have to wait till the next day to bring their korban to eat the teruma.
Separate chidush that we said.
So, yeah, we're going into the separate chidush. So now just pause. Nahala David asks Mark's question, Mark number 1, that why don't we learn the pasuk simply? Uba Hashemesh, the sun comes down, sunset, vetahed, and the person is completely pure and he's allowed to eat teruma. Why are we reading the pasuk that tahed means the day is completely clean and it means seta kochavim?
But when you look ending, that's
the
Wait, no, but teruma, not do shema. Teruma, maybe it means uba Hashemesh vetahed. The sun comes down, shekiah, and then he's allowed to eat teruma. How do we know to read the word tahed means seta kochavim? Answers on Nahala David because it's not true. He's not tahor. The person is not tahor. We know you have to wait the next day to be completely tahor. So it can't be it's talking about the person to say the person is tahor. He's not. For sure, for kodshim to eat a korban, he has to wait to bring his korban the next day. To eat kodshim, he has to wait till he brings his korban the next day. So the person is not tahor at nightfall. That's pashut. So now what does this word tahed mean? So we're being doresh the pasuk. Vetahed means the day is clean from the sun, i.e. Seta kochavim.
Okay, but teruma, you have to be pure in order to eat it in general, right? So what does that? Okay, but the
You have to be
day,
pure.
you don't have to be pure at all.
You have to be this 2/3 of the way pure to eat teruma. You're not pure.
Okay, so then what does the day have to do with me being pure? If the day becomes pure, is that what's the day and the person? They're comparing two different
Right.
things.
The pasuk's just saying halacha when the sun comes down and the day is completely clean from the sun, meaning seta kochavim, you're allowed to eat teruma, even though you're not fully tahor.
So the language of-
Hashem, the sun comes down, the day is clean from the sun, seta kochavim, you're allowed to eat teruma.
Even if I'm coming in there and the sun goes down, I'm allowed to eat
Teruma, but not
It's
kodesh.
not here. No, it's,
Right, not kodesh. Kodesh do it the next day.
Vetahed is like,
Automatic.
but it's also future. It's not like it's not like he's presently tahor. It's be'yeh tahor.
The sun has
Vetahed.
Hashem, the sun will come and be pure. And
Be pure and will be pure.
and automatically will be pure.
No,
And will purify. How do they translate?
I don't know. I'm going by my interpretation. I think that he has the opportunity to be tahor.
Right.
So you want to say maybe it means
Don't become tahor.
Sunrise.
the next day. Okay, that's the next game. Last question. That's the next game. But good. One step at a time. Good. So we're reading the pasuk. The sun comes down, and the day is clean from the sun. The sun coming down holds the person back from eating teruma, meaning you need the sun to come down to eat teruma. But to bring his korban the next day does not hold him back from eating teruma. He's allowed to eat teruma even at nightfall. That is pshat and Mishnah. That's what we said. You're allowed. When do you say kriyat shema? When kohanim are allowed to eat teruma, i.e. seta kochavim, as the pasuk says.
Why would you think that you can't eat the teruma without bringing the korban? Why would you think that it's ma'akev on the korban?
Why would I think the kapara is ma'akev?
The teruma, why would eating teruma be ma'akev with the?
What do I need the korban the next day to eat teruma?
Yeah.
Well, there's another pasuk that says you have to bring a korban the next day, and then it says you're allowed to eat korchimosa. So which one's talking about what? So now it's talking about real korchim. This one's talking about just teruma. Okay. Gemara asks, Mark number 2, how do you know that this uba hashemesh means the sun is coming down? And when we say taher in the pasuk, it means the day is fully pure from the sun. Right. Meaning seta kochavim. How do you know to learn like that? Dilma bi'at orohu. Maybe when it says uba hashemesh, it means the light came up, meaning sunrise. The light came up. Umay vetaher. And what does it mean when it says vetaher? Taher davra. The person has to go purify himself by bringing his korban. Maybe that's the reading of the passage. Maybe it's uba hashemesh vetaher. The light comes up, vetaher, and he shall bring a korban, and then he's allowed to eat teruma. How do you know to read the pasuk uba hashemesh vetaher that the sun comes down, and it said that kochavim, and then he's allowed to eat teruma? Maybe it's the sun comes up. Vetaher means he should go bring his korban to be completely pure, and then he's allowed to eat teruma. So we're questioning our whole halacha about
The next morning.
next morning.
This
This is the second question.
A little weak, but.
Ba means come, no?
Come.
That's
Right.
it.
You have to
Come
say-
down.
So
Come
it's
up.
Yeah.
That he brought his korban already.
Hmm?
You could.
But how would you say that? How would you say
Sun
sunset?
came up, it's the next day,
Right.
and you
What?
could eat it,
What's vetahed?
You bring this korban after. It's not necessarily saying that you could bring. You have to bring the korban first.
But what does
We don't
vetahed mean?
pasuk that way because vetahed means it's a new day.
Well, Baal Shemesh, the sun comes up. Vetahed, it's a new day.
So, yeah, it's a new day. That's it.
What's vetahed though? It's telling us it's a new day. You have to have a reading of vetahed.
Baal
No?
Shemesh is a new
He's
day.
clean. He's
Baal
clean.
Shemesh is the new day.
I remember thinking Baal Shemesh.
Right.
Baal Shemesh is v'tahed.
So two options. Option number one is Baal Shemesh, the sun comes down. Vetahed means and it's completely clean, meaning it's set kochavim. Then you're allowed to eat teruma. Option number two is saying now it's Baal Shemesh means the sun comes off. Next morning, you have to wait till the next morning. Vetahed, you have to bring your korban. Then you can eat teruma. Baal Shemesh, sun comes up. Vetahed, you bring your korban. And then you could eat teruma. So how do you know to learn it the first time? If you learn it the second way, and you're like, oh, you let eat teruma the next day.
That doesn't work for the shul when you lie down.
Well,
That has nothing to do with it.
right.
I don't know why.
We just use teruma as our example of the same time for Kriyat Shema. We can't use any of the sources. Yeah, but maybe this halacha of teruma needs the sun coming up, and you got to bring your korban.
What about that proof? We're using it to say, you could say Shema and Aviv. That's what we're
Oh, that's exactly what we're asking. So how do you know to learn Baal Shemesh v'tahed means nightfall?
If you say it's morning, it doesn't fit.
Correct. That's the question. Correct. Right, Albert, a good point. According to this question, we're questioning the whole Braita. We're saying, how do you know Baal Shemesh v'tahed means the sun comes down and it's Seta Kochavim, and that's when you're allowed to eat teruma, and that's how it fits with our Mishnah. We said the time to Kriyat Shema is the same time you're allowed to eat teruma, i.e. nightfall. Maybe Baal Shemesh v'tahed means the sun came up the next morning. V'tahed means you bring your korban the next morning, and then you're allowed to eat teruma. 11 a.m. you're allowed to eat teruma. If that's the halacha, then the Mishnah makes no sense. We're saying the time for Kriyat Shema shel Arvit, then the Kohanim allowed to eat teruma. What? Kohanim allowed to eat teruma the next morning, not the night. Wow, what's going on? It's a full circle. Right, and then things won't make sense.
Right, so
That's
it
a question.
has to mean something along the lines of sunset.
Right.
It has to be.
Has to be right, but we're asking on the source. Okay. So the Gemara says, Amar Rabba Bar Rav Shila. Rabba Bar Rav Shila says, I think Jamie was saying, Im Ken, if that was the reading of the pasuk, that it's Baal Shemesh, the sun comes up, v'tahed means he should bring his korban and be completely pure. Im Ken lemakra ve'yitad. Pasuk should say ve'yitahed, and he shall go purify himself. It's not an automatic. If v'tahed means he has to bring a korban to be completely
That's what I was saying.
tahor, then it should say he has to do something. You say it in the verb tense, not in the automatic v'tahed, and it becomes not automatic. He's got to go do something. Ve'yitad.
You're telling me that's what the Baal Shemesh means.
Baal Shemesh
I was
means
saying Baal Shemesh, the sun came up, and he's telling him, not, then now they're explaining by saying Ve'yitahed, that he has to go do something, which would mean to bring a korban, and then he would be.
right.
tahor.
Well, you can't just say
It
the
still
sun
would
comes up
mean
and
that I
he's
can still
tahor.
eat
It's not
teruma
true.
Before I do before bringing the korban, it wouldn't matter at that.
Oh,
point.
you want to say a new option? You want to say maybe Baal Shem means sunrise comes up and then he's automatically tahor.
And then you can still bring the korban.
For
after
teruma
he's
and the
teruma,
korban
yeah.
needs. Huh. And you probably have that same Nahala David that you can't say he's tahor because he's not fully tahor.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. There's two opinions. One, you have to wait till the morning, and the other one is Sedek Kochavim at night. But he still doesn't have to eat. He still can eat teruma before the.
But how do you read the word tahed though? How do we read the word tahed? That's the question.
And he's tahor.
It's not true.
I understood the Taher.
It's not true.
Why not?
Because we're saying it's not fully tahor until he.
Why, till they bring the korban?
That already happened.
But it's saying like the possibility, the
Maybe
moment.
able to eat.
That's
before
all.
he fully tahor.
So you're saying that he's saying that
Eating
he's gonna.
teruma does not necessarily
So
mean
then
that
you
you
don't-
are tahor.
That's what
You don't need the yud here either.
So why do you even?
You're just saying that the hair covers the yud.
So good, great question. So the Gemara says because it's not only
So the second
shikya, you
line,
need to wait till set
why
kochavim.
you
You have to wait till it's the
same word.
day, not for the purity of the guy. The day has to
Second
be
line
fully
is
clean.
Got it.
That's what it
It's
says.
nothing to do with it.
Rabbi Yitahed. It says adding yud to say what you're saying. You're saying that the hair is the same thing.
It's the moment he shoots, the moment it's allowed to. It's the moment he
Right,
shoots.
yeah,
The
when
moment
you
he
come out,
shoots.
go.
The moment he
Mashiach,
shoots.
Mashiach.
No, but-
Mina Kodesh.
Rabbi,
From some of the coaching.
So you're saying that Yitahed means that he has to go.
agree that Kodesh means teruma.
And you're gonna be pure there.
Lahad yochal mina Kodesh.
Yitahed, but he's saying he needs to the same
From the
word.
Kodesh. We had in Makot, we called teruma kodesh.
Meaning nothing.
No, I don't like how they don't do anything.
That's how.
Use the word ba, they're all like half of it.
Wait,
Come.
Yitahed means you go do that, and the Yitahed
Comes towards
means.
Why would you say the sun goes? Come closer.
But that's not what the question is. Yeah.
Yeah. So come down.
No, I'm saying the opposite of what you're saying. Right.
Okay.
But the hair word doesn't bother me. It's Bah Hashemesh. I can say Bah Hashemesh means it's sunset.
The sun's coming down. What do you mean?
Bah Hashemesh.
Why do you say it goes? It's coming down.
Sunrise.
It's up there. It's coming down.
Bah,
Right down.
it's coming. Bah is sun going
Why do you
away.
say the sun goes? It doesn't go. It
Goes-
comes
it's going
towards us.
away.
Far away and it comes.
Yeah, it's coming very close.
It's gonna be sunset, so you better figure out.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't go anywhere.
דברי התורה כלשון בן האדם.
I think the hair means that's the thing that's telling you the sun's going down.
What?
Head is basically telling you the sun.
Yeah, that word is on the Bah
Saying Bah
Hashemesh.
Shemesh, she's saying he's already here that it's
No.
coming down.
Bashem, sun came and I don't know, went down. I don't know. You're right. It sounds like it's coming, but it's saying the word head. It's saying that it passed.
Okay.
Head, and it has passed.
Sun came. We're saying come down. We understand. Yes. Either come where? Yeah. So I'm not so bothered. It's coming towards us. That's why it's coming down. Why? Bah Shemesh is sunrise.
And when the sun comes,
Yeah. What does that mean? Comes where? It comes where?
and it has passed.
Okay. What does come? What does it mean? Come? Where did it come from? It could be come down. We're saying coming down.
So Head is coming to teach us.
But he sees it so.
Oh, you think Tahed reveals to us? That is a good point.
Up or down, Head is saying it has passed. Not me, it's saying it on the phone. And it has passed. Head is teaching it. And it's gone. Head.
Yeah.
That's gotta be the logic. It's about sunset.
If the sun to come, it wasn't there.
It's coming. I think coming towards us.
Right.
As you are.
The sun's coming, Head.
Leave a lot of structure for that word.
Yeah.
It's natural.
Okay. I don't know. Did I show? I don't know. What to tell you. Okay, so our two options are either it's Ubah Shemesh V'Tahed means that the sun came down and the day is completely clean from the sun, then you're allowed to eat teruma, which is Seto Kochavim. Option B is Ubah Shemesh means the light came up, meaning the next morning. V'Tahed has to mean now, and you bring a korban to become fully tahor, and then you're allowed to eat teruma. That's option B. The Gemara says if it's option B, then it shouldn't say V'Tahed. The sun comes up V'Tahed, and automatically you become tahor, and you become tahor. No, I don't. I have to go bring a korban. It should say a verb. I have to go and do something. V'Yitahed. And you shall go make yourself tahor. Therefore, it must be the Gemara says V'Tahed is referring to the night before. Ubah Shemesh means the sun comes down. V'Tahed means that the day is completely clean from the sun, and then you're allowed to eat teruma at night. And the Gemara is just going to show us that the Umay V'Tahed, what does Tahed mean? Tahed Yomah, the day is clean. Like people say, of course, everyone speaks this way. I'arev Shusha V'Itzki Yomah. Everybody says, oh, the sun set and the day became pure. The sun, what?
Yeshua, when he stopped the sun, he has the same lashon of lavo. It says the sun was setting.
Oh, yeah.
The end, it's lavo, kiyum tamim. So it says it was not continuing to set. So there you go.
Okay.
So I guess that's
That's the way they
term
spoke,
use. That was
right.
their lashon, yeah.
Yeah, put that phone away.
Accept
I said, put that phone away.
it.
And now the Gemara also says that the word, right, the Gemara doesn't even bring a proof about Bah Shemesh. It just says that Tahed, people say, Yarev Shushav Itzki Yomah. People say, oh yeah, the sun set and the day became Tahor. That's the way they used to speak. Bah Shemesh V'Itzki Yomah. They said the sun set, the day is pure. So we see the word Tahor, people reference to the sun going down. No, it's saying impure.
Age-old adage.
Very nice language.
Pure from the sun.
Nice language. to Say it that way.
How does it say?
To say sunset is like,
Yeah.
not nice.
It's right, yeah.
Yes, nice.
But it says, Yarev Shusha, the sun set, V'Itzki Yomah, and the day became pure. So we see V'Tahed is referenced to as the sun being completely clean. It is. Okay, that's the end of Teruma, a nice little tangent of Teruma. That basically, if you want to know when a Kohen can eat Teruma, it's Ubah Shemesh V'Tahed. He's got to wait for
That's
sunset.
halakha
And,
l'maaseh, right? That's kapara.
yes.
Do we bring when that time ends?
Seto Kohavim. Oh, when no, it's nice. Pure now. It's good.
That Fox, I'm saying like.
Teruma is this gift that you're gonna give.
It's only this time in.
Kohen. Teruma gets about 2% of the produce. You gotta be told.
I think it's coming.
We're not learning from Teruma. You can start Shema, Sefer Chavim, because they're Shoch Becha. But the code language we used to say when the start of the Kriyat Shema is, we said, oh yeah, it's a time that the Kohanim are allowed to eat Teruma. Why do we use that code language? To teach us a side point that Kohanim are allowed to eat Teruma at night. They don't have to wait till the next day. Left hand.
Right where you left it.
No, nothing to do.
Same way you can be right foot.
Totally separate, independent. Just use that as an example to say what
I think they brought it up. Always have to
teach us how to eat Teruma.
Rabbi also doesn't exist anyway, left.
Before Sefer Chavim.
Also in the shower, you think that's
Oh, the 4 hours. Okay, good. So just at the end of the day,
I always used to do that.
just recap of this last thing again. Mishnah says, when do we say Kriyat Shema at night? The Mishnah answers when the Kohanim are allowed to eat Teruma. Right? Really, if I ask you, what's the source that you, for the start time for Kriyat Shema of night, that it starts at Sefer Kohanim? What's the real source? Nothing to do with the Kohanim eating Teruma. The source is because the Pasuk says, B'shoch becha. So why did the Mishnah say the start time for Kriyat Shema is when the Kohanim are allowed to eat Teruma? To teach us a totally side halacha about Teruma. So you're allowed to start eating Teruma at night, and you don't have to wait till the next day to eat Teruma. Random side halacha. So we said, oh, when am I allowed to start saying Kriyat Shema? Oh yeah, when the Kohanim eat Teruma. To teach us a totally separate thing about Kohanim eating Teruma.
Mishnah does it, like it'll do that.
Yeah. So Safot said we have a chance to just give you a quick hazara on something. We're gonna throw it in.
Throw it in the line the way
They want to teach us the importance of hazara in the first Mishnah. Okay. Huh? Yeah, that's what it says. That is the derech of the Mishnah to review things. Okay, now we just have a little slightly different version in Eretz Israel, but basically the same Gemara. Arva in the west, which means Israel, had Rabba bar Rav Shila lo shamiyalahu. They did not hear Rabba bar Rav Shila, who made this whole derasha of Uba Shemesh v'Taher. He explained that it has to mean the night. It can't be the next day because then it should say v'Yitad. They didn't have that whole thing. Ubayla mibaya, and they asked us a question. Hi Uba Shemesh bi'at shimshohu. Do the words Uba Shemesh mean that the sun came down? Umay v'taher, taher yoma. And when it says taher, it means the day is completely clean from the sun, meaning seta kochavim. That's option A. Or bi'at oro, or maybe it means the light coming up the next morning. Umay v'taher, taher gavra. And what does the word taher mean? It means that the gavra should make himself tahor by bringing a korban.
Different Israel.
No, they just had the question. They had the question. V'hadar pashtu le'mibraita, and they brought a proof from a braita, which fits with our last Gemara that says Mediktani Braita. It says in the Braita, Siman Nedavar Seta Kochavim. It says the Siman to know when the time for Kohanim eating Teruma and when the time for Kriyat Shema is Seta Kochavim. Shema Mina, I see you must say Bi'at Shimshohu. That when we said Uba Hashemesh, it means that the sun came down. Umay v'taher, taher yoma. When it says taher, it means the day is completely clean. Meaning the Braita says openly that the time for Kriyat Shema, which is also the time for the Kohanim eating Teruma, is Seto Kochavim. So it must be, we're working backwards here, it must be from the fact that the Braita says that the time to say Kriyat Shema and the time to eat the Teruma is Seto Kochavim. It must be the correct way to read the Pasuk. Ba'ashemesh v'tahed means the sun came down and the day became completely clean from the sun, i.e. Seto Kochavim.
In the West, it means they're having a conversation in Babylon and they heard about the conversation they're having in
Eretz Israel. Yes. Ma'arva always means in Eretz Israel, in the west of Babylon. Okay, so that's the end of that Gemara. So we're coming out to the Shema.
When you come out of the West, it's really Chokhmah.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
That's all the Chokhmah of the nation of Yerushalayim.
Right, and they're
And
having
you really have to
conversation
pay attention to what the Gemara is saying at that point.
Yeah, but there's less chokhmah in this one. This is straight from a Braita. The other guy had to think about it.
Right, he's putting the pieces together.
Yeah, this guy had a thing. Said the Kochavim is the answer. So there's nothing. So we have to make it work.
Right. Okay, let's continue. So again, the start time of Kriyat Shema is Seta Kochavim. End time is mahloket. 4 hours, hatzot, or morning. 3-way mahloket in the Mishnah. Now we're going to bring up right to Amar Mor. Mishasha Kohanim nechlasim. No. Yeah, Amar Mor. Mishasha Kohanim nechlasim lachov terumatan. We said the start time for Kriyat Shema at night is when the Kohanim are beginning to eat their terumah. Veriminu, we have a contradictory braita. Veriminu is always a contradiction from one Tanaic statement onto another Tanaic statement. Veriminu, we have a contradictory Tanaic statement. The braita says, when do we say, when does the start time for Kriyat Shema V'Arbi begin? Braita says, Misha'ani nechnas le'achol pito b'melach. When the poor man enters to eat his bread with salt. When the poor man begins eating his meal. That's a start time for Kriyat Shema. Rashi speaks out that poor people could not afford light. So therefore, they started eating before the regular people began eating. So now we're understanding that must be before Seta Kochavim. The start time for Kriyat Shema is when the poor man begins eating his bread. That's the what's of the Braita. Right. The end time is Ad Shasha Omed Lipater Mitoch Seudato. The end time for Kriyat Shema is a very short window, the amount of time it takes to eat a meal. I don't know, 45 minutes. That's the end time. So, Gemara says, Sefa Vadai Pliga Amatnitan. The end of this Braita that says that the end time is when the Ani finishes his meal, which is 45 minutes. That's for sure arguing on Mishnah.
All opinions.
All opinions. Right. Mishnah had 4 hours, Chatzot, a lot.
This is a very short window he's giving.
Very short window.
Yeah, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Right, yeah, whatever, how long it takes them to eat. So Rashi says, if you look at Rashi, Sefa Vadai Pligi Amatniti. Let's see that Rashi over there. Let's see the previous one also. Mishani, when the Ani begins eating. Rashi says, She'en lo ner lahadlik besudato. He doesn't have a candle to light. And his meal, really, they were really poor. So he says, Sefa Vadai Pligi Amatniti. The end time is for sure arguing on Mishnah. Tiktani hacha, because here we're saying, Ad shasha omeli pater mitoch seuda. The end time is when he finishes his meal, a very short window. Behind the Loka Rabbi Eliezer, Loka Rabbanan, Loka Rabban Gamliel. Oh, for 3. Yeah, Mishnah was 4 hours, 6 hours. Yeah, let's see that. The Darishku Beshoch Becha, because this opinion is Doresh Beshoch Becha differently. Tehilat Zman Shechiva. The time when people begin going to sleep. The start, when people start going to sleep, that's when you have to say Kriyat Shema. U'b'matnitin tanan ad sof hashmura rishona. And our Mishnah learned the most machmir opinion was, the earliest opinion was, till the end of the first watch, which was 4 hours. So that's clearly a machloket.
Yeah, he's ending it before we started. He's ending the time.
I'm not sure when they finish their meal.
Okay. Rabbi Eliezer is in a half hour.
So this is a no one. This Braita is not fitting with anyone in our Mishnah. Anonymous. Scam Braita. I don't know. So saying. So the Gemara says, the end time, the end of the Braita is for sure arguing on our Mishnah. There's no two ways about that. However, Resha, the beginning of the Braita, which says that the start time is when the Ani begins eating, do we have to say that the Braita is arguing on our Mishnah? We don't want to make a mahloket between a no-name Braita and our Mishnah. A random Braita without an author to, you just want to assume it's a mahloket. We don't have to say it's a mahloket law. We don't have to say that Ani v'kohen chad shura. We could say that the Ani begins his meal at the same time that the Kohen can begin eating terumah, meaning seta kochavim.
It's not logical.
Right, so the Gemara says it's not necessarily a machlok between the Braita and the Mishnah, even though the Mishnah said the time for Kriyat Shema is when the Kohanim begin eating terumah, which is set above. The Braita says the beginning time for Kriyat Shema is when the poor man begins eating the bread. Maybe the Braita is just giving us a practical time, practical example as to when set kochavim is, which is when I.
That doesn't make sense according to Rashi.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Where's he getting the bread from?
That's all he's eating. He's eating bread and salt. So Torque's asking a big question over here that Rashi says, what is special about Aniyim eating? What did Rashi say?
They have no light.
They have no life. They need to use natural light.
Right.
Now we're saying that Ani begins eating at the same time that the Kohanim eat terumah. When do the Kohanim eat terumah? Seta kochavim. Stars come out. Stars come out is dark in natural light. So how are we saying this? Ramosha Feinstein says, all the way down to Ramosha Feinstein, you see from here, at Seto Kochavim, it's not pitch black.
Wow.
Go outside after you're going to eat after your fast next time. 20 minutes,
never-
30
it's
minutes
never
after.
pitch black.
Not pitch black.
Not at all.
It's never pitch black. It's
never.
The regular person needs pitch black.
3 stars in the summer. 3 stars coming out in the summer Saturday night when you want to get nuts. You know,
It's still light out.
it's still light out. But no,
The Meidi asked the question on Rashi, but Moshe said, look, you see, it's not 70. Rashi obviously didn't know 72 minutes.
saying in the summer, you see 3 stars. Yeah.
Still have that like glow from the sunset.
I can't believe it's like.
Yes.
That's what Moshe Moshe wants to say.
You know,
Pitch black, right.
before Malava Maka, you know, before you want to get.
That's what you're saying? We're gonna get crazy
yeah,
Saturday
yeah,
night?
Yes. Well, the Kumzit starts.
But others argue on Rashi, and others say that ani eating bread has nothing to do with the fact that it's still light out. They just say that ani eats earlier because he doesn't have to prepare a whole meal, because all he has is bread and water. So he comes home from work and right away he begins eating. That's why that's a special time about ani. But nevertheless, the Gemara wants to say that the time for what is that?
That's his set.
The time of Kriyat Shema is set to Kohavim, which is the same time that ani begins eating. Right, we don't have to say it's a machlok between Mishnah. What's the question? What do you got?
So for that, I'm just not me on the bottom here.
Yeah.
He says that
When does the Ani say Shema?
if the time for reciting Shema begins when the poor enter to eat, when do the poor recite Shema? They cannot do it after they eat, or it's forbidden to eat the evening.
Wow. Wow, bomb.
I know how to read. That's it. That's all it is. I didn't read the actual Tosafot and decipher it myself.
Yeah, but they're not telling you he's eating. They're telling you that he's
Beginning to eat.
What are you talking about?
That's basically it's Savoy sense.
eating the meat. He's just not referring to that as the time.
It's not like-
Oh, I saw that.
Just
But
you know,
they're
when
saying
they're
that
saying
somebody
that-
said we don't generally give time based on the Nazi times. Yeah,
Yeah.
try that.
But you can't eat before praying.
What's the language of Nechnas?
Why not say that?
And you can't say a beat.
That's even.
so that like 2-3 minutes when he's beginning
All of
down
them are
to
with
say
an
Shema. That's
entering
Right.
going, they're like, you can say, you can prepare for it.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's a very good point. Son of Shafi.
He's gotta wait. Then he's gotta eat.
Yeah, what do you hear there, Rabbi?
What?
We need some action on this.
So what's those for answer?
So right, Tosafot. Tosafot. Let's see Tosafot. Tosafot says, "We'll see them. We'll hold over here." Tosafot Mishah Shani Nazar Zechov B'Torah Tema. He says, "I don't understand. Ani Gufa Ma'it Matzait Pala. When is Ani himself going to be praying?" We're saying the time of Kriyat Shema is when he's eating, and he's eating for this 45-minute period. So what is he saying here? Kevin says, "Kevin Shebab Zman Kriyat Shema Asur Lo Latchil B'Seudah Ashit Pala B'Resha. It's Asur to eat. It's not like Kaman Kol Kriyat Shema Pala V'Achol B'Tom Barech V'Achol V'Rech Rachamim Hayam Yitzah. Yesh Tomad Zman Tefillah Havi Kodem Zman Seudah. We're saying the Zman of Tefillah Kriyat Shema, like you're saying, is slightly before Seudah. The lav davka Meshani Nechnas Le'echol Ela Purta Mikara Kaman. We mean a little bit before, basically saying a little bit before the ani begins eating his bread, a few minutes. When he begins preparing his seudah, could be it's what Jamie's saying. Nichnasin le'echol. When they begin entering to begin eating, they also make that yukon mishnah. When the kohen is nechnas le'echol be'terumato, when he's allowed to eat his terumah, not that he's actually eating his terumah, because if he can't eat his terumah, it's that the kochavim. They say it just means the time period he enters to begin. So
Very close to
he pushes that away.
Although you could say the Shema and still prepare to eat.
Right.
You could say the Shema, prepare to eat. Why are you saying the Shema?
No, but we're saying it's set to kochavim. Right. Yesterday they start preparing a few minutes before twilight. That's right.
Yes, before the stars come out, you can't actually see anything. You have to wait twilight. It's that interim period, what, 2-3 minutes before the stars come out?
The time for Kriyat Shema is set to kochavim, but the time that the Aniyim begin preparing their meal is a few minutes before set to kochavim.
Correct, that's what I'm saying. They have to say Shema even before that. So it's Shema, then they have to prepare the meal.
No, they start preparing 5 minutes before. They start eating at set to kochavim. Wait. Oh, no, that can't be. Excuse me. Right, they start eating. You have to say a few minutes after. Right, they start preparing. They start preparing at set to kochavim. Excuse me. They start preparing at set to kochavim. No, when the stars come out. When they start preparing for their meal, that's when you have to say Kriyat Shema, which is Set
That's
Kochavim.
Kochavim.
Set Kochavim, exactly.
That's Kochavim is another time that we're saying.
Okay, that's 13 minutes.
Kochavim is earlier than what we're saying.
That's exactly, that's what
Wait.
I'm.
They're saying Zeta Kochavim is light outside.
Ours is also light outside.
Yeah, but it's
Much lighter.
I don't know. I hear.
You need a little bit dark.
I don't know about that.
Whatever you
30 minutes after. Wait, but no, it's not like, I don't think it's good. Anim begin preparing to eat at Seta Kochavim. Maybe they start eating 10 minutes after Seta Kochavim. And the time that we have to say Kriyat Shema is Seta Kochavim, when they begin preparing. That's it. Which is the same about Mishnah.
From the time in the entry. So it's
Kriyat Shema is when they enter to begin eating, which is Seta Kochavim. They don't eat until 10 minutes after.
That's fine, no, that works.
So by the time that the
Sunset.
that's when they get the problem. So they say Shema and then they eat.
I'm saying now, it says it's trouble when you lie down.
Okay, good. So we're making peace right now. This Braita fits the Mishnah. It's all Seta Kochavim. Never understood that. End time. End time.
Before sunset is a problem.
And the Gemara just goes on.
Wait, why does it fit? Why does it fit?
No, it doesn't.
Recapping why?
And then there was an